What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the Bianconeri zone for a new update on Koopmeiners, because we have an agreement with the player. The player is pushing to join us, and we are pushing a lot of players into into the direction of Atalanta to lower the demands, because the demands at this moment in time are 60 million euros. A fee we're not going to pay. We're just not going to pay. And the club is trying to lower that with players being included into the deal, which we're also going to talk about that. We are selling Kaio Jorge for more money than I could have imagined. I'm going to be honest. And then there's a big update on Szczesny, because that was becoming... It's a very strange story with Szczesny, but we will talk about that because there is a big update, and apparently he is now open to leave the club. I think that will kind of come for a shock, as a shock to him, but he's open to do so. Before we get into it, hit the like button. Just click the button now. Let's get to at least 100 likes. Should be easy. So click it, subscribe, and let's go. Okay, before I start the Koopmeiners, really quickly, because people complain, I pre-record his videos very late. It's 1 a.m. You know, that's the latest updates, and I dropped them. Morning news, I need to skip because I have a daily job. That's why I do lives, to do the updates. Yeah, it's pointless to complain about it because that's the situation. But on Koopmeiners, we agreed. We agreed with Koopmeiners, not with Atalanta, but with Koopmeiners, which is the first step, because he has interest from Liverpool, especially, you know, from the Premier League. I saw reports that Atletico were interested in him as well, but he wants to stay, and that's a big factor for the club, for Juve. They can use that. I think the club has been pushing for Koopmeiners since January, with Koopmeiners as well. So I think that's something that, you know, makes it more easy for us to do the deal. The news is from Chiesa, and he's saying Koopmeiners is getting closer to Juve agreement in principle for a contract until 29 with a salary of 4.5 million euros. He has given his availability to join Juve since 2 months. Giuntoli is working to close the deal with Atalanta. On Koopmeiners, before I go into the pricing, because the pricing is complicated right now. On Koopmeiners, I've seen, not disrespect for Koopmeiners, I think people are going off, he costs too much money, and I agree. He's, for me personally, and I like Koopmeiners. If we were filthy rich, I wouldn't care about money. But we're not in that situation, so we need to care about money. It's sad, but it is what it is. 60 million is too much for Koopmeiners. I like Koopmeiners. I think he will be a great addition to the squad. I really do. I think he will be excellent under Thiago Motta. I think he will contribute. I think he will play a vital role in us trying to compete again. Like, I'm 100% convinced about that part. However, 60 million is way too much. If you need to put that up cash, that's way too much. Now, that's the second part of the story, is that it's not all cash. It's not all cash, apparently, because Chiesa added to it that Atalanta are now really interested in Dean Huijsen, because Scavini has a long-term injury with, I think it's an ACL that he tore. I think it's an ACL, and he completely included in the Koopmeiners deal. And then later on, he actually added that Atalanta are really interested in Junior, and that talks have been open, you know? So there are two players you can be including into the deal. Now comes the iffy part. How much do you value him, and how much do Atalanta value him? You know, you can say we want 30 million for Dean Huijsen. Atalanta are in full control right now. They can say, we want Huijsen, but you want Koopmeiners much more than we want Dean Huijsen. You know, and that's where the tricky part starts, you know. Forget about, do you like Huijsen or not? The valuation needs to be fair, you know. I would not sell Huijsen, I'm not going to lie. I know that the idea is, because with Huijsen at the back, it's more so the idea of, okay, he's very good on the ball. Defensively needs to prove, but in possession, he's excellent at the back. Now you're signing Calafiori, or that's the aim, to sign Calafiori. I think the club is sitting there and be like, okay, we don't need two of those types at the back. I know one is a center back and one not, but purely based on playing out from the back, I think the club is looking at it and saying, we don't need two of those types, so we can sacrifice Huijsen, who is still a bit unproven. He is unproven. He still needs to learn a lot, to get a proven player right now. I would not do that. Like I just don't. I wouldn't do that with the junior one. I made my peace with it. I don't think he's world class or whatever. I just think the fact that he had so few chances over Kostic next season leaves a bad taste in my mouth. Because I wanted to see more of him because I like him. I really do. I think it will be a great addition to Gasperini. I would. The valuation, not so sure. He has 1 year left on his deal, but I made my peace with Junior leaving, so I can see that type of movement, involved in the Koopmeiners deal. With the Huijsen one, it's like, do you really want to lose control over Dean Huijsen? Because it's Atalanta. You're not gonna do a buyback clause. It's just not gonna happen. They want full control of their players. They're not Atalanta of 10 years ago. So it's a tricky one. So let me know in the comments. Will you be willing to include Huijsen and Junior in the deal if that means you only need to pay 25 million for Koopmeiners? Will you say yes to that, or are you like, no, let's keep Huijsen, maybe Junior, and let's see how much we can lower the demands of 60 million euros? So let me know in the comments, but it's a real possibility that Junior, Huijsen, or another player could be involved in that Koopmeiners deal. I think it's more so of a possibility than straight up cash. But we have cash right now because I made this graphic just a minute or 10 minutes before the official news came out from Cruzeiro that they're signing Kaio Jorge. They're signing Kaio Jorge, I think, on a 5-year deal. According to Di Marzio, it's for 7 million euros, and we have a percentage on the future sale. So let's say 7 million euros as of now. 7 million euros. I think we paid that amount, around that amount, to bring him in the first place. I saw that we're still making plus valenza on him. Yeah, it was always going to happen with Kaio. After he had that injury, I think, me personally, I was like, he's done. We're never going to see him play for the club again. I actually liked the few moments he had. It's a really sad type of story because the injury picked up was with the under 23s. It was just completely needless, pointless. It was sad, and he never got a real shot. He didn't. Is he good enough? Probably not for the top, but it's just a shame that we haven't seen anything of him, because of the few things we saw was like, oh, interesting. But this was always going to happen. So the club was always going to try to cash in on Kaio, and they're doing that. He's going back to his home country. He's going to Cruzeiro. He signed that, or like he's to be expected this week or next week to do his medicals and then sign that 5-year deal. 7 million euros for Juve, money we need, and we can move on from this. This was always going to happen. So good job, I guess, from Giuntoli to get the money back, and we keep it moving. Now, the lesser part of the news show is the Szczesny situation, because at the end of the season, I think nobody was sitting there and being like, this is going to be a debate, and then boom, you're signing Di Gregorio, and now not Perin, but Szczesny needs to leave on big money. He wants to stay. What now? Did you really think this through? I hope they did. They should. Otherwise, it's a complete mess. It is a complete mess if they didn't think this through. But we are in a situation right now where you need to move on Szczesny, and it's a weird situation. It really is, because I think maybe he had some sort of feeling, or the club gave him some hints. But as a fan, like, looking at it, I'm like, this is kind of out of nowhere. And Pedula saying that for the first time, Szczesny is opening up to move, to the Saudi League or to the Premier League. Because at this moment in time, or until this moment, he was like, I want to stay. I want to stay at Juve, do out my last contract here, and then go. I hope this is all paper talk, and Giuntoli has a plan in place, and he already knows that Szczesny is going to leave for certain. That's why he's moving for Di Gregorio. Otherwise, this is a headache being added to already like a very stressful summer ahead, So let's see. I still think it's very hard to move on Szczesny with his contract. So if it's a Saudi, it's very easy. If the Premier League, I don't know. Like, he needs to lower his demands big time, because I don't think he's going to be a starter in the Premier League. I don't see for which team, or needs to be a lower tier teams, and I don't know if he wants to do that. So it's going to be interesting, but apparently he's opening up to a potential move, and I think that's all Giuntoli can ask for right now. So we will see how that will go. But let me know in the comments about the Koopmeiners deal. Do you want to include Huijsen, or Junior or somebody else, or are you like, no, just try to pay up the fee, lower it a bit, and move on? Let me know. Like the video, subscribe, and I will speak to you guys later. Ciao.